Hey guys, it's James here. Welcome back. It's the first day of February 2023, and this morning I had the privilege to have a chat with Matt Smith, or Smithy as he's known. Okay, so for those that don't know who Smithy is, he is a world class duathlete. So duathlete means duo means two. Okay, so instead of triathlete, it's duathlete. So Matty can't swim, but he can run and he can ride. So it will go run, bike, ride. Okay, is the duathlon. And he's from Perth, WA. What can I say? There must be something in the water. We're producing so many world class athletes. Smithy is ranked number one in Asia, and globally or in the world, he's ranked eight. So this is crazy. Like you can just jump on a Narrows ride and ride with these world class athletes. Yeah. So Smithy takes a bit of a bit of his morning to come have a chat with me, and he talks about nutrition, fasting, his training schedule, what he likes to run with. It's a bit of a plug here for Hoka shoes, and yeah, just gives us some tips on physical managing your physical well-being and your mental well-being. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Smithy's is always hanging around Steam Lab. So yeah, if you see him there, just say hi. You'll notice him because he's wearing Steam Lab kit. Okay, enjoy it, guys. I'm gonna go for a swim now at Riverton Leisureplex because that place is awesome. Bye. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is, what is it, 8:20 a.m. It's
First of Feb.
First of Feb.
First of Feb.
Yeah, 1st of Feb 2023. We have Matty Smithy here. Say hello, everybody. Say, Matty.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, there we go. So Matty, if you guys don't know, or Smithy as he's known, is a duathlon. So what is duathlon, Smithy?
So essentially take a triathlon, get rid of the first swim and change it to a run. So a run, bike, run format, and you have a duathlon.
Cool. And how'd you get into it?
Short or long story?
let's go short because there's lots to cover today.
There is lots to cover. Okay. So I grew up playing cricket.
As you do.
As you do, being Australian, quite into our cricket. I changed schools when I was 15 years old to a PSA school. PSA schools, the seven boys schools here in Perth. You have to pick a winter and a summer sport. So obviously my summer sport was cricket, and I sort of looked at the sports for winter, and there was a lot of contact sports like footy and rugby, which I quite enjoy playing, but as you can probably tell by looking at me on the screen, I'm pretty slim, so that didn't really appeal to me. And
do you want to get bruised?
Yeah, I'm not bruised. I probably would have broken a leg or a collarbone or something.
Hip and shoulder.
Hip and shoulder. Yeah, I would have hit in the forward pocket and just pinched goals all game. But yeah, cross country was on the list, and I was okay at cross country when I was in primary school. I finished third in like the school cross country a couple of times. So I was like, oh, how hard can it be? And so I ticked that box. And I remember my first training session, the warm up was longer than the entire race at my old school. It used to be a 2K cross country at my old school, and it was a 2.5K warm up. So that was a bit of a shock to the system.
For those that don't know, cross country, when he says cross country, it's cross country running.
Running, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, not cycling. So yeah, like running over rocks and through mud and whatnot. But yeah, long story short, I made my first state team in 2013, and I went to nationals and finished 49th, which was pretty terrible. But I met what I like to call my core group of friends on that trip. So they sort of pulled me into the sport. They were a lot better than I was, and I sort of got introduced to triathlon through one of my mates, Kurt Wesley. I figured out pretty quickly that I hated swimming, and that being an okay cyclist and a good runner, I could be make a better living out of being a good duathlete than a exceptionally poor triathlete. So yeah, that's sort of the really short story.
Yeah, and when did you ever go to Europe to compete?
Yeah. So I've been to, Oh, 7 world champs now. 7 world champs, 5 of which have been in Europe. So I try and go to Europe once or twice a year. Last year in 2022, I went to Europe and the US for 7 months. During COVID, I still try to get over, but I had a couple of exemptions canned. And then years before that, I think it was 6 years in a row, I'd been to Europe or the US. So
who pay? Like, do you get sponsored to go? How does it work?
So yes and no. I'm very lucky that my main sponsor, Hoka, the shoe brand, got the new Clifton 9 here.
Look what we have here.
Yeah. Okay. So sponsored plug. This is a new Clifton 9 coming out in a couple of weeks' time. So super nice long run shoe. But Hoka have looked after me really well for about.
So how many Ks can you run with this?
I take my Cliftons to 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, quite durable. And the new one's a little bit bouncier than the old one. So if you're looking for a shoe that keeps you not injured, Clifton or a Bondi will work well for you.
There's the plug.
There's a plug. Pay me more, boys.
And I guess how often do you train?
Twice a day minimum. So I generally try and get a ride in the morning and then a run in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. Today being Wednesday, I rode into my run. I've done my run this morning. I'll go to the gym after this, and then I've got another run this evening. So today's quite a big day.
But actually, because today's Wednesday, you organize like a run group. Is that right, Smithy?
Yeah. So my now full-time job outside of being an athlete is being a run coach. So me and one of my mates started up Double, which is the name of our run and gym. Or it's the name of our gym, but we have a run club associated with it. And then, every Wednesday morning at 6:30 under Mount Henry Bridge, we just do a social run. It's free, so like the idea isn't to try and convince people to come join the gym or whatever. It's just we like to catch up, go for a slow jog with whoever rocks up, and have a coffee afterwards and talk some smack. So we had 25, almost 30 people down this morning. So a lot of people to sort of touch base with. But yeah, there's a few groups for obviously different paced runners. And it's just a good little community run in the morning. Not too fast, and it's not a competition.
And how long is it? How long's the loop?
7K on the dot.
So, okay, yeah. And anybody can just rock up?
Yeah. So if you're not confident at running, we have a walk club as well. So if you just want to go for a half an hour walk, but yeah, there's a couple of different groups. One group takes about 45 to 50 minutes to do the 7K, so that's quite pedestrian pace. And then the faster group, we still only run at 5 minutes per K, so it takes us 30, 35, 36 minutes to do the whole loop. So it's not a session. It's not supposed to be fast. It's supposed to be inclusive. So anyone of any ability can rock up and be part of the chat.
This is pretty cool. So this is, I guess, in a way, your way to give back to the community.
Yeah, I like to think that as an elite athlete, I'm a pretty approachable guy. I think in Perth, we're pretty blessed that most of the really good athletes here are pretty friendly and have time for the amateurs. So I enjoy, not that I don't think I'm up myself, but I enjoy sort of trying to give back to the community and give my 2 cents or some advice to people who might be struggling with running or struggling getting the motivation or the technique right. It's just a good way for me to sort of have a chat to someone over a coffee, and if they've got a question, 9 out of 10 times I've been in their position, I'll be able to answer it, and if not, it's just good to chat with people. We're pretty good at chatting. Being Australian, we talk a lot.
Smithy likes to talk a lot, if you didn't notice.
Yeah.
So I guess people want to know, because you run pretty well, how do you feel for these runs?
Like this morning?
Yeah, let's say for this morning. Say you've got a 7K run, you're doing 5-minute kilometers. Is it 5 minutes per kilometer?
5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes a kilometer.
How do you feel? What do you eat in the morning?
So 5 minutes a kilometer is pretty slow for me. So I can talk the whole way. Some of the other guys, I reckon, get sick of me because I'll just be talking to them and they're breathing pretty heavily. They're just like, shut up, Smithy. Food-wise this morning, I woke up. I'm a big Weet-Bix fan. I always feel pretty bad in the day if I don't have my Weet-Bix. I'm a Weet-Bix kid, so I was in a bit of a rush this morning, had a bit of a sleep in, so just 3 Weet-Bix this morning. But normally I'll have six. I feel I got a pretty strong stomach, so I still have milk with my breakfast. It doesn't really cause me any issues.
And but how early would you have it before the run? So the run starts at 7:30.
6:30.
Oh,
Yeah,
6:30.
6:30. So I rode in this morning. So I got up. What time did I get up? I got up about 5:15. Had food straight away. Obviously, then went to the toilet, got changed, packed my running stuff. It took me 35 minutes to ride into Run Club. Pretty much got changed straight away. Did the run and then just had a coffee afterwards. So I think if you have a good breakfast in the morning, it should get you through like a majority of the morning before I start getting hungry again anyway. Like I'm a bit weird. I can go and do a 4 hours hills ride without a water bottle or any nutrition and be fine. Whereas I know a lot of people would sort of start to bonk. I just like to call it strength training. But I really struggle with eating while I'm doing those longer sort of rides. It's something that I have to force myself to do. Especially obviously if I'm doing a race, you have to have that nutrition sorted out. So I really struggle forcing myself to train with nutrition. I'll only really do it 3 or 4 weeks before a big race. I'll start taking gels and stuff just so my stomach's used to it. But unless it's really hot, I can do a 3-4 hour ride and not touch my water bottle. It's probably not great, but
That's pretty crazy. So I don't know if there's a trend online saying like fast before training. Like, what do you think about that? Fasting before training?
I think everyone's different. Personally, I did try it in 2020 and it didn't work for me. I would, let's say, on a Saturday hills ride, I'd ride from Canning Bridge up here up to Welshpool, and by the time I got to the top of Welshpool, I'd be feeling pretty bad already. So I think it's something that if you're going to do it, try it first. Everyone's different. Everyone's going to react to diets different ways. One of my mates is doing the Roto Channel swim in a few weeks, and he's been doing fasting for 3 or 4 years, but he found that it was really affecting his sleep while his training levels were really high. So I just suggested that he goes back to having breakfast and a smaller lunch, and it's helped him sleep and recover better. So in that case, I think everyone's different. It's going to work for some people. It's going to work for others. And the other thing is, like, you got to look at what your end goal is. If you're trying to go for performance, it might not be such a good idea because you don't really want to be in that calorie deficit. As soon as you go into a calorie deficit when you're training as hard as we are, your chance of injury just goes up, skyrockets. Whereas if you're trying to lose weight, you're not training like an elite athlete, just trying to lose a little bit of weight, then yeah, fasting probably will help a little bit because you do create that little bit of a deficit. You'll feel a little bit more energetic in the morning.
So it depends on the goals.
Yeah, I think it depends on the goals, depends who you are, how much you're training, and that's where having a nutritionist comes in really handy.
And then also you talk about the 1%ers, like for example, like the stretching that you do.
Yep. So I'm quite lazy, despite all the training that we do. I'm quite a lazy human being. I always try and find an easy way out for everything, but hitting all the 1%ers, I realize as I'm getting older, definitely adds up over time. So I'm pretty big on my mobility. One of my training buddies and good mates, Vlad Ixel, when he first started training with me in 2020, started getting me into mobility work. And I'm not going to say it changed my life, but I haven't really had a niggling injury for like 2.5 years now, touch wood. Yeah, just doing like small glute exercises, making sure my core is strong, making sure that I'm as flexible as I can be. So I try and do mobility at least 3 times a week. I try and get some sort of mobility done every day, but obviously some days are harder than others.
Yeah, because you're trying to prevent injury, right?
Absolutely. If you're injured, you can't train. And it's one of those things that if you get injured 4 or 5 weeks out from a race, you're definitely not going to go as well in that race. If you can stay uninjured for a 12-month period, it means that your training is obviously going to be better over that 12 months and you're going to be fitter heading into your big race. and being injured as an athlete sucks because all you do is watch the races you should be doing get won by other people, and you sort of get, I personally anyway, get frustrated. I'm a terrible watcher, so yeah, being injured isn't fun. So
Yeah, so we'll transition now into, I guess we've talked about the physical aspect of elite racing. What about the mental aspect? What do you do to kind of, you know, is any coping strategies for stress or emotional regulation that you like to do?
yeah, I'm a big fan of having hobbies. So I know a lot of people in triathlon and running are or just any elite sport, they're addicted to the sport. You can listen to podcasts with Steve Smith, just him talking about how his whole life is cricket and all he does is watch cricket and think about cricket. I'm not really like that. I like having hobbies on the side. I grew up playing golf and cricket, obviously, so I quite like getting out for like 9 holes or 18 holes when I can. I'm a really big car guy, so I'm a massive fan of Formula One. I've watched Formula One since, well, as long as I can remember. My first ever video game was F1s on the computer, and I think it was the 2000 version, 2001. So I've grown up with cars. My dad used to race cars, so during COVID, I bought a Porsche, an old Porsche. I'm not rich by any means, but during COVID, when like I was training heaps, it was just good to come home and I just work on the car a little bit, rip the engine out, and just rebuilt a lot of the pieces, and it's back on the road now. But personally, I enjoy having some time off every year. I find that I can't go a full 12 months just flat chat. I sort of get 6 months into a big block, and I find that I need to have not some time off, but just chill, like not put so much pressure on myself. I'll still go to training, but my expectations of the training will just drop for a couple of months. Like if I have a bad session, I don't get too worked up about it. It's sort of just, I know that it's that time of the year that it's like, okay, I'm going to be a bit flat. And eventually after a couple of weeks of going easier, obviously the motivation comes back and I'm good to go again. So I'm sort of coming out of that phase now. Obviously being in Europe for 7 months last year, it's probably burnt out is the best way to describe it when I came home.
So how did you climb out of that burnout hole?
Well, like I just said, like I just took it a bit easier. Played a bit more golf. Went for a few more drives. Slept in. Well, like if the weather was bad, I'd just sleep in and do a trainer session instead of getting up and forcing myself to train in the poor weather. So eventually, you know you've got to get back on the horse at some point and start going 100% because you got races coming up. But yeah, I just sort of took the pressure off myself for a little bit, and I'm a big fan of enjoying the sport. I've always told people the second I really stop enjoying this sport, I don't know if retire is the right word. I feel like you've got to be really good to use the word retire. Or quit the sport, but I'm still enjoying it. So I'm nowhere near that at the moment. But yeah, just enjoyed the sport. Try to enjoy going to training. Enjoy training with the people that in my squad. Again, I'm pretty lucky that I train with my best mates. So it's always easy to go to training when you might be feeling a bit flat. And yeah, just having fun with the process.
Cool. And I guess, well, Kenji said that he had a time frame of, he knew that there was an end date for this, for what he was doing in triathlon. What about yourself? Have you kind of picked a number in the future saying, okay, James, I'm going to do this until this time, or any goals like that?
Not really. Like what I just said is a big factor for me. I could wake up tomorrow and for some reason just not be enjoying the sport anymore, and that would be it. It might be 3 or 4 years away. I definitely see myself transitioning into just being a marathon runner at some point. Marathon's a strange sport that you can get to your very late 30s, maybe even 40, and still be getting better. I don't know if I'll still be taking it as seriously at that point in my life. Like I'm 26 now. Obviously 40 is 14 years away, so I don't know if I have another 14 years in me. But knowing that you sort of peak for the marathon around that sort of 33 to 35 year mark means that I could still have another 8 or 9 years in a sport at the elite level. Australia is in a great position with their running right now, and the fact that we're going through a bit of a resurgence. We've got a lot of really fast guys in the marathon.
Except for that guy that got caught for EPO.
Yeah, sorry, Peter Bowl. Hopefully you're clean. But yeah, like in the 1500 team, we had like 5 or 6 guys that could have filled the spot for Tokyo. I think we had a full marathon team for the first time in like 20 years or something. So making a team to go to like World Champs or Olympics is probably a bit out of my reach, because the boys are running it at such a good level. Oh, hey, birdie. Got a little sparrow on the table. Willy Wagtail. But yeah, hopefully I can get my marathon time down to a respectable time that I can go to maybe Japan and win a race here or there, go to Europe and run some top 10 finishes, and yeah, just win as many in Australia as I can. But yeah, I've definitely got probably a couple of years of duathlon left. I've really, at this point in my career, I can say that I've achieved everything that I wanted to when I first came into the sport. So everything that happens over the next couple of years, to me, is probably a bonus. But I still have that fire in my belly to run. I've still got like run times that I want to get. There's still races through Europe and definitely America that I want to win before I transition into running. He's just chilling.
We'll let him chill. So any races this year you're training for?
Yeah. So it's only February, so it'd be a problem if I didn't have any races this year. Yeah, I mean, Bustleton Half Marathon is next weekend. Again, that's an event that I've never won. A really fast course, but I think I convinced Dean Menzies yesterday, the other really fast guy going down, that we can work together and run a really quick time. Then I'll probably head off to Europe in April. I'll race the French Grand Prix with my team in France, Pontivy. So there's 5 or 6 races over the European summer that I'll do there. Duathlon World Champs is in Ibiza this year. So that's in April. And then, yeah, just a couple of smaller duathlons in Europe. Asian Championships again in Kuala Lumpur in June. So that's a big one for me. That's probably the biggest race I do. Oh, not the biggest race. World Champs is obviously the biggest race, but the most winnable race that I do for myself every year. I always seem to go pretty well in KL with the humidity. And then, yeah, short distance Asian Champs are in the Philippines in October. So it's still quite a spread out year. And then deep down, I'd like to do the Perth Marathon this year. But again, that's in October. So we'll sort of fry that fish when we get to it. But yeah, in the immediate future, it's Bustleton next weekend and that first stint in Europe.
Okay, we'll make sure to keep an eye out for you, Smithy. And to finish off, I'm not sure if you prepared this, the 2 truths, 1 lie.
Yeah, I was thinking about this on the way here, and I think I got it. I've just got to put my poker face on. 2 truths and a lie. Okay, here we go. My first job was in a medical warehouse. I randomly met David Guetta, the DJ, in an airport once.
David Guetta.
Yeah. David Guetta, yeah, the DJ. I'm not going to sing any of his songs for you.
That's all right.
And I've been to 25 countries.
Alrighty then. So he's worked, what was the first one? The medical.
Medical warehouse.
Medical warehouse, met David Guetta, been in 25 countries. And a superpower, Smithy?
If I had one?
If you could have one.
I would fly. I always wanted to be... So...
Superman.
I'm actually a Batman fan, but I've always wanted to fly, so I guess Superman. I'd want to be Superman.
Yeah, everyone likes freedom.
Yeah.
Cool. And to finish off, any shout outs, anybody you want to say thanks to or hi to?
Oh, there's too many. I got a lot of sponsors. I'm quite lucky. So yeah, I was saying before, Hocker have looked after me like fantastically for 8 or 9 years, 2015, 8 years this February. They've been extraordinary. Bix Hydration, that's Vlad's company. He looks after us really well. Bike Force, my bike shop that look after me, Mark and the boys down there. He's a legend. Who else? Oh, Steam Lab.
Steam Lab Coffee.
Steam Lab Coffee, absolutely. They make the best coffee in Perth and super friendly. That's probably it. Obviously, friends and family. You can't do a sport like this without the support of your friends and family. I've definitely forgotten somebody, but and then yeah, Matt Ramsden, Kurt, and David Checky, make training fun every single day. So if I hadn't have met those boys, I don't know what I would have been doing with my life right now. But
It's a big statement.
it is a big statement. Well, we didn't really touch on it, but like, yeah, my first cross country nationals, I was like 49th or 50th. And yeah, it was really those boys that got me into the sport and training at an elite level. And like having your best mates as runners sort of sucks you into the sport as well. So yeah, they're good guys. And it's for the first time in, I think, 5 or 6 years, we've all been in Perth at the same time. Checky was away on a college scholarship for 4 years. COVID happened, so obviously we're all sort of spread out and stuck around the world. So yeah, this year is like really the first time since like 2017 that all the boys have been in the same place. So it's been good to actually catch up as a full bunch of mates again.
Yeah, so it's really important to have that we call it a community of practice. So you have like, a core few people and they influence your life, hopefully in a positive way. Smithy, it's been a pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
coming.
much. That was awesome. Thank you, mate.
Have a good one, guys.
See you later.
Bye.